Yeah, so today I want to talk to you guys about the new release that came out over the weekend, the Ark Invest price target for Tesla. And more importantly, the media's reaction to this price target. Because once again, to me, I wouldn't call it mind-boggling because it's starting to happen more and more, but it is, somewhat fascinating to see, the media's coverage of, Tesla, Ark Invest price target, and they just seem to still be so baffled, so befuddled when it comes to Tesla.
I think when I thought of this initially, I don't think there's a fund manager in this country, that could get away with this kind of thing other than Cathie Wood. And I say that because if it were a brokerage house that came out and said this, David, we would dismiss it so quickly as being hype. But Cathie Wood actually is so good that you start thinking, okay, well, what is Elon Musk going to do? I mean, maybe he's got a lot in mind that she's thought about. I always know that Elon Musk wants to reinvent the entire grid. Right. The entire grid, which, remember, was put together in piecemeal. So I know that there'll be people who say, Jim, you shouldn't have used the term get away with. But I do feel, David, that she has the cachet to say it and not be dismissed. When I heard it this week, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how she got to that price target.
Okay, and?
I just think that she's using the notion that Elon Musk is going to be able to make cars everywhere, but it's not just cars. It's obviously bigger than cars.
It's got to be bigger than cars to get anywhere near that. I mean, it's funny, these different percentage chances she puts on things. The bull case, a 25% probability Tesla could be worth $4,000 a share or more in 2025, so 4 years from now.
Well, what would happen if Tony Saganaghi from Bernstein said this?
So when you watch this, right, the first thing I see is just they're baffled. Like, and I genuinely like Kramer, right? I think he's charismatic. I think he means well, right? Like he says, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. And I think he does try to educate the retail investor, the normal everyday person, on this show, Mad Money, Squawk Box, all of these things that CNBC has, right? But at the same time, when he uses the terminology get away with, right? He knows how that's going to come across, but he still uses it. And then he talks about how mind-boggling it is to him of what this price target actually is. And he's trying to rack, his brain to figure out how they came up with it. When Ark Invests, and this is one of the beauties of Ark Invests, they actually show their Monte Carlo model and allow you to interchange numbers and make a change here and make a change there so that you can not only see how they came up with their price target, but also make your own price targets, right? And that's one of the things I like about my guy, Meet Kevin, right? And I'll kind of, show you a little bit of that right now, actually.
Oh my gosh, Cathie Wood and Ark Invest just released their new Tesla bull thesis. I have not looked at it yet. I'm so excited. We're going to go break it down right now. We have been waiting for this for probably about 6 to 8 weeks now. It's always been coming like, oh, it's coming in 1 to 2 weeks for like the last 8 weeks. Anyway, it's here. Haven't looked at it yet. Super excited. Really hyper about this, and it's like 10 o'clock at night. But anyway, we got to do this. This is great. Really quick, let's start with what Wall Street is projecting, okay? So Wall Street is projecting that by 2030, Tesla will do somewhere around just under $400 billion of revenue by 2030, okay? So Wall Street is at $400 billion, which if you use a 70 times earnings multiplier and some of the math that I did, I broke this down in another video, you get to a price of about $1,700. That's 2030, $1,700. If you use Tesla's gigawatt calculations and you use some reasonable estimates with that, you get to around double that, $700 billion. Now, my base case is around $750 billion, which puts the price somewhere around $3,200 in 2030, and a bull case of having this share price be around $6,000 in 2030, okay? That's what we've covered before. But folks, now we're going to get into what Ark Invest just said. And oh man, oh my gosh, I'm just taking my first glance at this here. And ooh, it's going to be juicy, folks. It's going to be juicy. So buckle up. Let's get the Apple Pencil and let's get right into it. Here we go. Oh, snap. Ark Invest price target for Tesla 2025. 5 years before what I'm using, okay? They're projecting to 2025. And remember, I was projecting 14 million cars. Maybe they'll do 12 million cars as a worst case scenario was my projection for 2030, okay? Keep that in mind as well. We've got a 2025 here. Here we go. Last year, Ark estimated that in 2024, Tesla's share price would hit $7,000 per share or $1,400 adjusted for the split. In 2024, based on our updated research, we now estimate that it could approach more than double that. What? $3,000 in 2025. Whoa! That is my base case scenario. Well, my base case scenario is $3,500 by 2025 and over $6,000 by 2030. They're thinking they could get to my base case or almost my base case in 5 faster years or 5 fewer years. That's crazy. How are they coming up with these numbers? To arrive at this forecast, Ark used a Monte Carlo model. Okay, so this is where you just put a bunch of data in and it spits out this really weird looking graph with a bunch of projections. It's just Google it, go to Google Images, type in Monte Carlo and you'll see it. High and low forecast, incorporating 40,000 simulations, whatever. Okay, so they put it into their machine, fine. Okay, scenarios. Expected value, $3,000. This projection is our base case. Whoa! That's not even their bull case, $3,000. So their base case is roughly my base case 5 years later.
So one of the things that you can see that's totally different in this take, right, with Meet Kev, he actually doesn't say, oh, I wonder how they came up with this. He actually takes you to the site, to the information where Ark Invest shows you how they got to their case, right? So here's the case. One's a, kind of mid-level case, bear case, bull case. But instead of conjecture, instead of theory, instead of still kind of conjuring up your narrative, Meet Kev takes you to the fundamentals, as they like to say from a mainstream media standpoint, and takes us into the weeds. So that he's educating us, he's showing us, but he's letting us know where this come from. If you're wondering why mainstream media is losing its edge or everything is, they're trying to clickbait for views, right? It's because a lot of what they're doing now is extremely lazy and it's disingenuous. It's not intellectually honest, if that makes sense.
And I like to be extremely conservative with my fundamental analyses. This is why I get pissed, and I did a video titled, I'm pissed about Tesla's valuation, because people are ragging on me like, Kevin, you're too bullish, you're too bullish. I'm like, man, I didn't even include all the possible revenue because I do that as a way to be conservative. They're thinking we could get to my base case scenario 5 years earlier. Remember, my bull case, $6K, $3,500 for my base case. They're basically at $3,000. In 2025, this is incredible. They are at a bull case of $4,000, exceeding my base case in 2030. They have a bull case of $4,000 in 2025. We believe that there's a 25% probability that Tesla could be worth $4,000 per share or more in 2025. 25% probability that Tesla could be worth $1,500 per share or less in 2025. By the way, $1,500. If we go to the Wall Street scenario, we get $1,500 approximately in 2030. They think worst case, 25% chance, or $1,500 or less, probably not much less, but a little bit less.
So once again, not to belabor this point, but as you can see, Meet Kevin takes us into the weeds, lets us actually see how Ark Invest comes up with their target. And I think there's a level of intellectual honesty there, a level of genuineness that we get from a lot of the YouTubers, but specifically guys like Meet Kev, Stephen McRyan, Rob from Tesla, that if it wasn't for these people, none of us would ever make any money off of Tesla because we would believe the FUD.
I don't know.
We think he lost his mind.
Yeah, that he ate something with his breakfast. That
Right.
Was,
I mean, I like Tony.
Bringing on hallucinations.
And there are different firms. The Jonas Brothers over at Morgan Stanley.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the Jonas Brothers. One who probably thinks that
I gave a hard time to some analysts recently. Yeah, it was even 7 or 8 times revenues. But you're right. This is the most successful fund manager of recent times.
So how
He's
can we knock
captured the
her?
imagination of many investors, and the performance numbers are there.
I have
so
no
you have
knock
to
on
listen.
wood. Do you have a knock on wood?
Do I have a what?
A knock on wood.
Yeah, sure.
Someone's very smart, but did that.
I saw it. Yes, I see it.
But
knock
that's
on
really
wood.
smart.
Yeah. Well,
But,
we have some
like
clever
David,
people.
it's going to get the stock going. We're in a different kind of market. There's been a series of articles now that talk about, I didn't even know this. Do you know what a stimmy is?
Yes, I do. It's a stimulus check.
Right. So the stimmies are going to go buy Tesla.
I know. I've seen that too. The stimmies.
Well, they're not going to. They're not sitting here.
Are they even going to, even with what we have seen of late, is the decline in many of these high multiple names
They don't know why.
because of the move up in part in treasuries?
They don't know why, but you can go buy a sliver of a stimmy sliver.
All right. So what should I buy? I mean, I got Apple down 9.5% this year. I've got Amazon down almost 6% for the year. Tesla I've got down 7% until today. As you see, it's going to be rebounding a bit. What do you think they should be focused on, and/or how should we be focused on what they're focused on?
All right. Look, I think that's a great question. I mean, interest rates today are down. I do think that means when I wish Wedbush hadn't used the term super cycle. Every super cycle has been a disaster. But I do think Apple's down a lot, but not down enough. I think that I think it's too early to buy some of these stocks, but they are getting very low versus where they were. Facebook continues to go higher.
I noticed that as well. Yeah, Facebook suddenly reversed course.
The earnings are going to be good.
Well, because everybody suddenly, it's not a high multiple stock, that's for sure.
Well,
right?
but who is he attacked lately, Zuckerberg? He's not. I mean, remember he in Australia had a tussle.
Yes.
I don't think it's Canada that he's going to tussle with. Who else is a great ally of ours that he might tussle with?
I'm not aware of.
Well, then that's why the stock can go higher.
Let me explain to you how I think about this, right? So Kathy Wood, to me, is like the Golden State Warriors, right? Steph Curry. When you saw the transition in basketball, when they started shooting a high percentage of threes, high percentage from three-point range, layups or free throws, right? And they changed the game, right? They figured out that these are the highest percentage shots, and it only makes sense for you to take these shots, right? So, as they say in the Art of Worldly Wisdom by Balthazar Gracian, everything is at its peak. So what traditional media, mainstream, or these old school investors, what they're struggling with is the fact that the game changed. I remember Charles Barkley said, no jump shooting team will win the championship. And the Warriors went ahead and won 3, right? And it had a 73-9 record one time, and almost won it again had the officials not, and maybe they helped out the Cavaliers, but I thought it was fair exchange because last year Cavaliers had lost to the Warriors because Kyrie and Kevin Love got hurt. So, whatever. And one hand washes the other, tomato, whatever, all those things. But my point here is that when Steph Curry, Dame Lillard started pulling up from the logo, 1 or 2 steps in from half court, it's people that this is a bad shot. This has got to stop. But what you don't realize is right now, there's a 5-year-old, there's a 9-year-old, there's a 12-year-old that as soon as he steps across half court, he's shooting the jump shot. And there's a young woman, a young guy who might be pulling up a step or 2 behind half court, right? And I remember watching a show with Gilbert Arenas when he explained this philosophy. He said that he started to notice that immediately behind the three-point line, he was shooting maybe 34, 35%. At the hash, he was shooting about 40%. And he realized that the 3 close to the line was contested. The shot at the hash mark wasn't. So he started pulling up from that range even more. because nobody's guarding you at the hash. Nobody's guarding you at the logo.
Well, I guess I was criticized for the right reason, for calling Dame's shot in the playoffs a bad shot. I mean, I see these guys' range is crazy. You know, the ability to knock those shots down. And I mean, like you said, it's not like it's a half court heave. Like, you know, these are shots that are in there. You know, it's well in their range. They probably can shoot it deeper. I've seen some of them, you know, Dame and Steph both was inching further and further back. So I don't know if that's quite my range on a consistent basis. I'm comfortable shooting from those, but those I'm comfortable when the clock's running down and it's like a half court shot at half, going into a half or into the quarter. I can't see myself shooting those. You know, it's you know, part of my half court offense.
So, did you say that's no longer a bad shot?
It's a great shot. 2 thumbs up.
And right now, I liken that to Ark Invest because they're investing in innovation, right? They're not investing in these slow dividend-giving stocks, because if you're giving out dividends, what you're not doing is you're not investing in innovation. You're not investing in research and development. And chances are you will become a dinosaur. You'll become extinct. So when you think about some of these legacy automakers, instead of giving out dividends, what they could have been doing was investing in innovation, making EV cars, and there would never have been a need for a Tesla. Gas companies the same way, right? These oil companies. While you're giving out these huge dividends, you could have been investing in solar, wind, all these types of sustainable energy that we as a society, as a community, as a world, had to wait for, because you were giving out dividends, all of these things that you invested in that weren't the same as investing in innovation, investing in technology, investing in research and development, right? Perfect example of this is Amazon. When Bezos invested everything back into the company, and people thought that price to earnings, PE ratio, price to sales, all of that was too far. Now all of a sudden you're talking about a $3,000 stock that no matter what's happened recently, it won't go too far past 2,900, and then it's right back up again. So I think it's interesting when we see the different reactions to Cathie Wood's price target, the reactions from Kramer, CNBS, and mainstream media, traditional media, and then when we see the reaction from Meet Kevin and YouTubers. But I really believe that there's a change that's happening, that some of us see it and some of us won't. And for this generation of investors, Cathie Wood is the Golden State Warriors of investing in the stock market. Glad you guys could be with me today. Really wanted to get this content out to you. As always, reach for the best within you. Until next episode.